Welcome. If you watch this video, it's probably because you're the parent of a student who will be entering high school in the near future, or perhaps you're the student who will enter high school yourself. We are glad that you are here. This video is the fourth in a four-part series that describes the implementation of a high school at Cornerstone Charter Academy located in Greensboro, North Carolina. We hope that you've watched the first three videos of the series. This video is entitled Setting Your Direction in the Ninth Grade. In designing the high school at Cornerstone, we thought about 3 points in time that we think are critical. The first one is the ninth grade year. Ninth grade year is where you set your habits, you set your mindset that's going to prepare you for the rest of high school. Studies show that this is the most critical year of the high school years. The second point in time is your first year in college. We know that about 25% of students drop out after the first year in college. It's not a matter of intellect, it's a matter of maturity. So we want to develop you throughout your high school experience to make you successful through that first year and through the remainder of your college career. And finally, we want you to be successful when you reach a point in time where you may have to make a change in your career based on being able to adapt to a rapidly changing world. So let's think about getting set for the ninth grade, that critical ninth grade year. Let's begin thinking about that by thinking about a story. The story that I'm going to tell you is true. Some years ago, I was headed to the beach for a church retreat, and the person riding with me was a woman who would eventually become my wife. While we were en route, I took a wrong turn. It cost us, I don't know, maybe a minute or two of extra time. Well, she must have felt I was pretty embarrassed. I wasn't that embarrassed, but she must have felt I was. So she told me this following story. She told me about a time where she was visiting her brother in Atlanta. At the end of that trip, it was time for her to head back to Greensboro, so she hopped on the road and she headed out. Everything seemed to be going pretty smoothly as she was headed along until all of a sudden she looked out and she saw the sign that said, "You're about to enter Alabama." Well, my response was pretty obvious. I said, "You're heading the opposite direction," because all the time she wanted to be headed to Greensboro. Her response was, "Yeah, I was heading in the wrong direction, but I was making really good time." See, when you navigate with a car, you have two instruments that you use. You look at the speedometer, but you also look at the compass. Whenever you're thinking about where you're going to go, it's fine if the speedometer is high, but if the compass is not set in the right direction, then you're going to have issues. The purpose for us in ninth grade is to make sure that we set the right direction. We've talked to the top high school in North Carolina. What they said in ninth grade year, they have two goals. Their first goal is to protect the child from the parent. What they mean by this is to allow the child to understand their own direction without the parent dictating it to them. It's a little bit like the parent hopping in the car, pushing the child aside and saying, "We're going to drive," and hitting the accelerator, heading in a direction which may not be right for the child themselves. The second thing they say they try to do in the ninth grade year is to develop the internal leadership abilities of that student to be able to set their own direction and to have the motivation to drive and be committed to that. It goes back to our leadership model of setting direction and then having alignment and then getting commitment. So for us in the ninth grade, everything is designed about allowing the student to be able to understand their own direction and to be able to take ownership of that and then to be able to use that to be committed to it to be successful throughout the high school experience. In setting the direction, there's two things that we want to think about. Those things internal to the student and those things external. We'll spend a good amount of time in the ninth grade year helping the student to understand what their own strengths are. We want them to build on those strengths in order to promote their success into the future. Secondly, we want to understand those things external. Video 1 of our series talks about how our world is changing and how that change is increasingly rapid, complex, global, and it ends up defining careers and jobs in a new way. What we learned from that talk is that these changes actually create new sets of skills that are critical for success in the future. And we learned that in many ways, modern or current education makes assumptions that are contrary to these trends, and it actually has a negative impact on students. So in addition to understanding the individual strengths of the students, we want them to set a direction that's aware of the changes that are going on in the world around them. Let's look at it this way. Suppose I'm in Atlanta wanting to make the return trip back to Greensboro. Well, I don't want to head straight to the west, back to the skills that were needed in 1992, those skills of technical mastery. Technical mastery says that at the end of my education, if I know what I need to know and I can do what I need to do, that knowledge and skills will be sufficient to get me throughout my career. I don't even want to head off to the northwest where I'm looking at the skills that are necessary in today's job market. We want to think about what are the skills that are necessary in the future when our kids graduate and as they continue throughout their career. Those are the skills we want to build into them. So in the ninth grade year, our focus is to be able to help the students learn their individual strengths and also begin to build in the skills that are going to be necessary for their future. Let's think about what this begins to look like as you get involved in the high school itself. So let's think a little bit about what your day might look like as a student at Cornerstone High School. The day is typically divided into 7 periods. The classes that you'll have will usually be year-long classes. Our research has shown that this combination promotes rigor. Classes start at about 8:15 and end at about 3:15. We have drop-off as early as 7:40 and 5, and you must pick up by 3:45. These times are set up to be convenient with our other K-8 programs and also to enable parents to have the flexibility to be able to deal with work schedules. There's opportunities for monitor study hall during the day. We actually have 3 different versions of our schedule to provide flexibility to the teachers and variety to the students. The first form of the schedule is just a standard schedule where the 7 periods each consume about 50 minutes. There's 5 extra minutes in the first and the last period to kind of deal with the getting unpacked and the getting packed up activities. There's a standard lunch, and lunch areas will be set aside in the school. There's an opportunity for students to order hot lunch and to bring their own lunches as they go through the day. Approximately 6 to 8 times each year we would use an extra or an X schedule. The X schedule is when a week takes on a modified block format to enable extended instruction on Tuesdays and Thursdays. This time might be used for laboratories or maybe some teamwork on a project. This schedule allows you to have some variability of students, but it also allows us to continue most of the time to have the nice rhythm that's enabled by the standard schedule. One other form of the schedule is what we call a flex schedule. A flex schedule has a standard schedule Monday through Thursday, but then Friday is divided into 2 half-day exercises. These allow students to have extended time for team exercises. These activities might involve going out and doing work in the community. The key area of emphasis in our 9th grade year is preparing our students for success in high school and successful entry into college. As a charter school, we have to meet all the North Carolina graduation requirements. The requirements include 4 credits of English, 4 credits of math, 3 credits of science, 4 credits of social studies, 2 credits of foreign language for anyone who wants to enter a UNC system school, a credit of health and physical education, and then extra electives or requirements. In order to graduate in North Carolina, you have to have 22 credits. As an academically rigorous school with a growth mindset, the graduation requirements at Cornerstone exceed those of North Carolina high schools. We have the same 4 credit requirement in English, math, and social studies. We have additional credits required in science and foreign language. We have classes specifically for Foundations of Success, which we call Freshman Seminar and a Senior Project. Overall, there's 24 credits that are required in order to graduate from Cornerstone High School. You may take as many as 28 credits overall based on the 4-year, 7-period model. We would encourage people to use those 4 extra credits to take classes that are going to make them more attractive to colleges. Classes are offered at college prep, honors, and accelerated levels. Our 9th grade course offerings for the 2015-2016 school year features college prep and honors classes. English, we have English 1 and Honors English 1. Math, we have Algebra 1, Geometry, and Honors Algebra 2. Science, we have Earth and Environmental and Honors Environmental. Social Studies, World History and Honors World History. Foreign Language, we have Spanish 1 and an Honors Spanish 1. Health and PE will be required of all freshmen. The Freshman Seminar Foundations of Success will be required of all freshmen. We have electives that are available in terms of Art 1, Journalism, Band, and Study Hall. Looking ahead, you can see planned course offerings. Courses are offered at the college prep, the honors, and the accelerated or advanced placement levels. Our goal as a growth mindset school is to move students that are at the standard or college prep level to honors and move those at the honors level to accelerated classes. Classes shown here are in English, math, and science. There's also the classes we have planned for history and for foreign language. With foreign language, we're doing Spanish in the first year. We hope to add Chinese and Latin in the second year. And also anticipated electives. Many electives, especially those in the arts, will be determined by student interest and by the capabilities of the teachers that we hire. Shown here is a 4-year outline of course progression. In developing the course progression, we've looked at the standard progression for North Carolina high schools, but more importantly, we've been heavily influenced by the course progression of the best charter high schools in the state. In developing this course progression, it allows us to have integration across the years, the 9th, the 10th, 11th, and 12th grade years, as well as integration and progression in each one of the subjects, from English to math to science, social studies, foreign language, and others. It allows the students to be able to customize their education, to adapt it to meet their strengths. Absolutely critical to set in the right direction for the 9th grade is the course Foundations for Success, a version of a freshman seminar. The class is required for all freshmen and anyone transferring into Cornerstone, and the class emphasizes 4 main areas: college and career preparation, personal, organizational, and planning skills, technology skills key to the academic environment, and leadership development. Your child will develop in the ability to lead themselves, to lead others, and to lead in community. They'll also have a clear plan for what they want to achieve in high school, what they want to achieve in college, and even an idea of what they might want to do in terms of a career. We believe that the students will look back at this single class as the most impactful in terms of their high school and their college career. We look forward to seeing the outcomes of this class. Here's a few more important things you should know. First of all, we've already set up a placement process to help you choose the right core classes. The placement process involves the use of teacher recommendations, NWEA or other standardized test data, and 8th grade grades. If you have any consideration or questions about the process, you can consult our academic counselor. Once we make our recommendations, which we've taken great time and care with, we have the opportunity for parents to provide input. Parents can opt to override teacher recommendations. They just need to meet with the counselor and sign an override form and understand what the consequences are. When classes start up, you have 10 days at the first part of school in order to make a change in terms of the classes that you have. In addition, if you want to take classes outside, we encourage you to do that as long as it's not core classes that we have at CCCFA. Those classes that you'd like to take through other means must be approved by a principal or by a counselor prior to registering for that course. Lastly, we'll let you know that our uniform policy has been expanded to include things like black pants and shorts, acceptable blue jeans, and t-shirts that have the CCCFA logo on there. Students take a variety of tests across the 4 years aimed at helping with the college admissions process and measuring academic growth. Philosophically, Cornerstone is not a teach-to-the-test type of school, and we've been waived from having to offer the North Carolina final exams. And the 9th grade students will take the NWEA MAP test in the fall and the spring. This measures academic growth and assists us with academic planning. Additionally, you would take the PSAT 8-9 in order to prepare for college admissions testing, and if you're in Algebra 1, you're required by the state to take the end-of-course exam for that class. In the 10th grade, you take the PSAT 10 and ACT expired. Both those help prepare for college admissions testing. And if you're in either Biology 1 or English 2, which will be most students, then you'll be required by the state to take the end of course for that class. In 11th grade, you take the PSAT test in the fall for a college admissions preparation and access to scholarships. You can take the ACT in the spring to begin the college admissions testing process. Students are encouraged to register on their own for SAT as well. AP exams might be offered in the 11th, 12th, and even the 10th grade for classes that are taken at the accelerated level. AP exams allow, if you do well enough on the exam, that you might get college credit for that course. In addition to rigorous academics, Cornerstone offers extracurricular activities in the form of athletics and clubs. These activities enable students to develop physically, socially, but also to develop as leaders. Shown here in blue are those teams which we have developed at the middle school levels. Even after 2 years of athletics, many of these teams have won conference championships. Shown across here are potential teams for the high school and for 9th graders. Team development will be based on team interest. Those teams which have an asterisk next to them will likely to play more against JV and 9th grade teams. Other teams may compete against full-scale high school or maybe practice with the middle school in the first year. The primary role of student clubs and organizations is to promote leadership development and encourage involvement in the community. Student clubs and organizations are started by the students, they're owned by the students, they're managed by the students. Already several of these clubs are being started by students that are planning to go to Cornerstone. We'll have more of these that are developed as more students come in. Students also are involved in the social gatherings and plannings for the school. As much as possible, we want the students to own the school and to use their leadership in terms of improving the school. That's a little bit about the ninth grade and what you think about as you prepare for ninth grade there. If you have any questions, we encourage you to check out our website, www.cornerstone.teamcfa.org, or give us a call, send us an email, let us know what those are. We'd be glad to talk to you about opportunities for Cornerstone High School. You may also look there to find out about info sessions where you can come listen to a presentation and ask questions. Thanks for your attention. Bye.